let's start out by looking at those verbs. Why don't you just pass me your paper? This would be much easier. Did you do them, Preston? Yeah. Did you do the verbs at the end? Okay, I'm just going to grab these then. Okay. All right. So the first one I asked you to do was Pono. Pono. What are the principal parts of Pono? Pono, ponery, short ERE. Here, I'm moving this over because you can't see the board. Posui, positum. Okay, so the first bossiness of the day is you have to learn the principal parts. Have to. You have to know them. When I say pono, you say ponery, posui, positum. Boom. All right. So we are not meeting next week. And so you have 2 weeks. And I'm not giving you tons of worksheet because your tons is going to be, you are going to memorize all of this stuff. I mean, drill it, drill it, drill it. I know John is smiling because I'm giving my drill it speech. You will flounder for the entire rest of the year unless you memorize all of this, okay? Because I have to know that it's third conjugation or I will not conjugate it correctly. The present tense, yes. So I notice we can't, this is you, Luke, right?
That's me.
This is me. You can't do that.
Okay.
Because I don't know what vowel. See, it's a different vowel. So and the reason is this: pono, ponis, ponit, ponimus, ponitus, ponunt. You see?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so you put an e. So we got to be careful. You almost fell for the e and you changed it, but it's ponent. All right. So we need to do that over and over and over again until you can do it. Your imperfect and your future are exactly the same. Did you notice that? Okay. So let's do the imperfect. Imperfect is easy because it's the same in every single conjugation. It's got the bomb, boss, spot. I go to the stem, which I find, can you guys, here, since Preston is, I'm just going to move this. And then I feel like maybe you guys can see a little bit better, okay? I go to the stem. So the stem is pone, and then pone bomb, pone boss, pone bot, pone bombus, pone botus, pone bont. Okay. Future. You nailed it, Luke, except you nailed it twice. John, no, there are no bows in its future. Right. Seriously.
I might have gotten confused because I did on the other one.
Okay.
But
Okay.
still on the second one.
So ponam, pones, ponet, ponemus, ponetus, ponent.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's what I did on the other one.
Present. Okay, we will see. Present imperfect. I will not write the other one out since we have an example. Okay. Winko. Winko, winkiss, winkit, winkimus, winkitus, winkunt. Imperfect. Winkybomb, winkybus, winkybut, winkybombus, winkybutus, winkybont. Future. And so you still need to work on this, John. Wincom, winkess, winket, winkemus, winketus, winkent. Right? Okay. I would like to. Did you guys check these? I mean, I know you didn't have. I mean, you could check that by looking up in the book. I'm just going to go use this as the sentences, all right, as practice, because I didn't make up more sentences. Before we move on to that, though, let's do a verb synopsis. Let's just, okay, let's do it. Let's do 2 or 3 of them. So we got started earlier today. Remember, a synopsis is when I ask you not to conjugate the whole thing, because you got to write out, 3 times 6 is 18, just to do those 3, and then it's another 6, 24 to do all the tenses that we know, And it's easier to just write 1 from each. It's so much easier. So let's do that. Let's do first person plural. What is first person plural? What in English? What pronoun is that? We. So we're going to do we in the present, imperfect, future, and perfect. And let's do 3 different verbs. Let's do a first conjugation, a second, and a third. That way we don't have to write the whole thing out, but we still practice. Let's do Porto. Porto, portari, portawi, portatus. So it's first. How do I say we carry? How do I do the we in the present tense? Portamus. Do you guys remember? I can translate it we carry. How else can I translate it? We do carry. We are carrying. Beautiful. Okay. How do I do imperfect? We were carrying. Portabamus. We were carrying. How about future? Portabimus. We will carry. How about perfect? We carried. How about tell me which principal part I need to know? First, second, third, or fourth? Third. What's the third part of Porto? Porto, portari, portawi. So that's the stem. And then I need to stick the right ending on it. Yes. Isti it. Imus. Istis erat. Portavimus. We carried. 2 more ways. Tell me. We did carry. We carried this one. Yeah. No, that's imperfect. Yeah, we already said that one. We have carried. I know, it's so mean. I just do that to you over and over again. Okay, wonderful. Let's do it with the verb. This is why I bring this book. It has all of the things you've learned so far. Let's do it with tenio. Hold. Tenio. How do I say we hold? Tenio, tenes, tenet, tenemus. How about we were holding? Tenibamus. How about we will hold? Tenibimus. Okay, we held. We have to know the third principal part. Tenio, tenere, tenui. So it's ten, u, that's the stem, everything except the I. Tenuimus. We held. All right. See, this is a good way to review them all. All right. You got another shot at it. How about, let's pick one we haven't done on that sheet. Let's do mito. Mito. What does mito mean? Send. All right. Let's write the mito. What's the infinitive? What are the principal parts? Mittery. It's third. Missy. Misus or misum. Sometimes I say us and on that, and when it doesn't matter. It's different books list them differently. Okay. All right. So now we've got our third principal part when we need it. Present tense. Let's conjugate it in present tense starting at the beginning. Mito, mitis, mitit, mitimus, mititus, mitunt. Okay. Imperfect. What's the stem of mito? Miti. Miti. Mitibam, mitibas, mitibat, mitibamus. Future. Mitam, mites, mitet, mitemus, mitetus, mitent. Right? And so again, look at this and look at this. This one's present. This one's future. And the only way we know is because we have to know this is a second conjugation verb and this is a third. That's why we have to. That's why I'm like griping at you. Memorize, memorize, memorize. Okay. Perfect. We sent. How do I do that? Everything you need is on the board. Missimus. We sent. All right. Are we good? I know you missed some of them, you forgot, but do you know exactly what's going on here? Okay. Let's, Luke left this, he wants your mom to get it. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it here. Let's take a look at the sentences that you did. And then we're going to look at our new thing because we're going to start chapter 14. But first, before we do, let's go ahead and put all of our noun endings on the board so that we can just double check our sentences against them. First declension. Here we go. I, arum, is, as, is. And shoot, I was going to make you get a piece of paper out and write them all down.
I already did out of memory on the bottom of my last page.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know what? Keep practicing them over break. I know I said like 6 times, 10 times, 12 times. I was just getting really extreme on you. But do it as much as you need to do till you can write them down just like I write them on the board. You know, like you don't have to stop and think. You just write them down. That's what you're going for. Second, us, e, o, e, orum, is, as, is. Second declension neuter. E, o, a, orum, is, a, is. Third, x, is, e, m, a, s, ebus, s, ebus. And we also have a third declension neuter. I'll go ahead and put it up here. You know, I don't know what to put there because they all are different. But bzz, is, e, bzz, a, whatever the nominative is, the accusative is the same. And ebus, ebus. You understand what I mean? So, for example, corpus is neuter. So the nominative and the accusative are corpus, even though the genitive is corporus. Corpus, corporus, corpori, corpus, corpore, when we do a neuter one, which means we have to know they're neuter. All right, let's take a look at these pretty short sentences. I know you already did these sentences, but it never hurts to look at things again. Milites corpus regis portant. Okay, what is my verb? And what does it mean? Go for it.
The soldiers carried the body of the king.
The soldiers, that's very well done, Luke. The soldiers carry the body of the king. So the first thing you had to do was you knew that it means they carry, and you knew it was a they. So whoever's doing the carrying has to be nominative and it has to be plural. And there's only one thing here that's nominative and plural. Besides, bodies don't carry themselves generally. So the soldiers must be doing the carrying. The soldiers carry, and then we needed an accusative. But to make this work, we had to remember that corpus was neuter and can be a direct object because the nominative and genitive is same. The soldiers carry the body, and rex regis is one of these. So is can only be one thing. We have only one choice of the king. Notice that if I didn't know that rex was in this group and I thought it was in this group, I might get confused. Is it ablative? Is it dative plural? No, because it's not one of these. It's one of these. Okay. Yes, and I noticed, Luke, the only thing this is yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So the possession and direct object, you got everything right except the noun job. So I'll just kind of talk about that. So that means that whoever's doing it, and this is very elementary, but sometimes I was sick. I was really sick in third grade, second grade, something like that. And I missed almost a whole week of school. And it was the week they taught Roman numerals. And they didn't do it again. They just had it. And I didn't really learn Roman numerals. And it was proverbial in my family that I stumbled over Roman numerals. I mean, I can do them now. But when I was little, because I missed the time, I needed somebody to review it again. Sometimes you go through something and it's the direct object week. I don't know, and you're distracted. And I'm like, I never did catch on to the direct object thing. Okay. We know this is the verb. Whoever's doing it is the subject. And whatever they're doing it to is the direct object. The soldiers carry what? The soldiers carry body. It's always how to find your direct object. Say the subject, then the verb, and then ask what. The soldiers carry what? Soldiers carry body. And yes, and whenever it has an apostrophe S in English or in Latin of the king, that is a possessive. We call that a possessive noun. Right? Because it possesses it. It owns it. It belongs to it. All right. Beautiful. Dukes. Transflumen. Ad Romam. Natabat. All right. Give me a verb. Natabat, which is kind of fun to say. What does it mean?
Swim.
Yes, so tell me the whole thing with the bot included.
It's third person singular.
It is.
It means swim. So he shear it was swimming.
He shear it was swimming. What is the he shear it that you think is doing the swimming? It's got to be nominative and singular. Dukes. And what does dukes mean?
Leader.
The leader was swimming. The leader was swimming. Now, first of all, let's stop there. Usually when I say that in English, it doesn't often have a direct object. Like I might say, She is swimming the English Channel, you know, and then it would have a direct object. Usually we just say he's swimming. He's not swimming something. He swims what? That usually has no answer. He just swims. He doesn't swim a thing. So we probably don't have a direct object. But my eyes tell me something else. I see two prepositions. And I know that prepositions usually have an object. And do you see how I've just taken care of two prepositional phrases? Transflumen. What does that mean? Across the river. Now, tell me something. The word flumen, this is the nominative, and the genitive is fluminous. Why does it say flumen? Isn't that nominative?
Because it's neuter.
Because it's neuter. And the accusative is the same as the nominative. That tells you something about trans. What case does trans take? Accusative. Trans takes the accusative. Ad Romam.
The N means
Toward.
and then Romam is first declension,
Mm-hmm.
accusative, singular.
Yes.
So toward Rome.
Toward Rome. The leader was swimming across the river toward Rome. What case does odd apparently take? Accusative. All right. Are we good? We're pretty good. All right. Let's do this one last one, and then I'm going to show you our new. It's a new set of endings. That's why I've been hounding you, and will continue to hound. It's my job. All right. Scriba. Togam. Squalidam. Garibat. Find me a verb. What does it mean? What does it say?
It means where.
Okay.
It is third person singular.
Mm-hmm.
Imperfect. So he sure it was dirty.
He sure was wearing.
Oh,
Was wearing. That's why you're moving ahead. I know. Who's wearing? Who do you think is wearing?
describe.
The scribe. Apparently it's a lady scribe. She was wearing what?
Toga.
A toga. And is there any adjective? You already were there? What kind of toga?
A dirty.
A dirty toga. Shame on her. How do we know it's not a dirty scribe? How do we know that squalidom doesn't go with scriba?
Because it's accusative.
Because it's accusative. Because it matches toga. They're both accusative. They're both singular. They're both feminine. So they match. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Subject. Who is doing it? The scribe. Verb was wearing what? Was wearing toga, direct object. Okay. Lovely. So the first, thing I say for our break is you gotta memorize everything we've learned. Everything. And it's really not that bad. Okay, there's a lot of vocabulary. And I'm just gonna say it because you guys are old enough to take it. If you had memorized it all along, you wouldn't be stuck now memorizing a bunch of stuff. You're old enough to hear it. But we need to learn it. We need to know how to conjugate all our verbs Work on that third conjugation. I don't think anybody's having problem with first and second. I think we got it. It's third. It's third that's given us fits, honestly. And then we have to be able to write all of our endings down, just boom. So that'll be my goal. When we come back together in 2 weeks, I will just, I know, I'll say remind me. You will not remind me because you don't want to do it. I will try to remember to say, get out a piece of paper and write all of your noun endings. Now get out a piece of paper, and it can be the same piece of paper, and conjugate a third conjugation verb. All right. When I asked you to do that, you're going to have a new group of endings to write down. But here's the good news. And like, please give us some good news. Everything sounds so hard so far. It's another group of third declension.
That's bad news.
No, but the good news is once you learn third declension, you know, once you've learned third declension regular, third declension neuter isn't really that hard, right? And so presumably once you learn and you get third declension just down, you will not suffer. All right. We are going to learn something called third declension I stem. You remember this? Do you remember I stems? Yeah. Okay. And it looks something like this. Okay, they don't put the X. I'm putting the X, okay? Actually, I'm putting an is, and you'll know why. Is, E, M, A, S, eum, ebus, S, ebus. Okay. Now, keeping in mind that the nominative is all sorts of endings in third declension. What's the only difference between an I stem and a regular third? There's only one difference. Which one is different?
The I in front of the
Instead of just
Oh.
See, I told you. You just lost heart. If you know these and then you remember, and it's even called I stem for crying out loud. All you got to know, I mean, it told you in the name that it has an I somewhere. All you got to know is that it has it in the genitive plural. Okay. I realize they put a little asterisk there, but it's easier to put an actual thing than just a line and make a funny noise when you write it. Okay. The question is, how do I know if a noun is an I stem? What's the difference between a regular, one of these, or these, if they're neuter, and one of these? There are 3 ways to find it, and these are on page 99, maybe 98, maybe 100. I can't ever remember which page you're on. Okay. And you see it says pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3 on page 99. We are going to look at those 3 patterns. And I think yours is a page off, Preston. So what page is yours? 98. Look on 98. For some reason, I have a mental block against whether you're one behind or one before. I can't ever remember. Page 98. Okay. Where it says masculine and feminine, pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3. Okay. Pattern 1. Whenever the nominative and the genitive singular, it says, are parasyllabic. That's a fancy word. Have an equal number of syllables. The nominative ends in is or s and has an equal number of syllables. Let's flip back to your vocabulary list. Just flip back a page to the chapter 14 vocabulary. Finis, finis. Look at the F's. Finis, finis. Do you see how it ends in is? And the nominative and genitive are the same. Finis, finis. Look down at the ends. Nawis, nawis. Those are the only 2 like that on this list, unfortunately. Kalas, kalas means hill. I'm trying to think of other ones. Do you hear it? Do you see it? It's pretty easy. In many of these, the nominative and the genitive are going to be exactly the same. Sometimes the nominative ends in s and the genitive ends in is, they have the same number of syllables. Here's the difference between nawis nawis and rex regis. So if you have a noun and the nominative and the genitive are practically the same or have the same number of syllables, it's an I stem. Which means finis, which means end or limit, declines like this. Finis, finis, fini, finem, fine, fines, finium, finibus, fines, finibus. Do you see this is very, very practically the same thing, isn't it? Okay. So that's one group of I stems. Another group of I stems is when the nominative singular ends in S or X and the stem has a double consonant. What does that mean? Oh, I shouldn't have erased that. I'm going back to your vocabulary and I'm just picking one. Pars partus. It means part. This is not going to be a hard one to learn. Tell me something about pars partus. What's the stem? What am I going to add all the other endings to? Part, right? So pars partis, parti, partem. So look at this. This is the stem. What does it end with? A T. What does it comes before the T? It has two consonants. They're not vowels. Pars partus. Compare it with rex. Rex, regis. Look at its stem. Reg. It has one consonant. You look like you have a question.
Yeah, that's after the vowel that you do that? Or like...
Yeah, the ending of the stem. Okay. Find the stem and look at the end of the stem. Okay. That's where you're looking. The end of the stem.
Or the end of the stem after the vowel in this stem? Or...
Well, it's always going to be because it's the end of the stem. Okay. So if to find the stem, I go to the genitive and I take the ending off. Right. And now I have a stem. Yes. I look at the end of the stem. It ends in two vowels or two consonants. So it's always the end. I don't care what comes earlier. It has to be the final two letters of the stem. Okay. Does that make sense? So there's another word in your list. Herbs. Herbis. The stem is herb. Does it end in two consonants? It does. R and B are both consonants. Let's see. You have another word, homo hominis, which means man. It means more like a human being instead of a man, not a woman. Here's the stem. Does it end in two consonants? No, it does not. It is not an I stem. You see? That's the test. I look at the stem. Nomen nominus means name. I erase this to find the stem. Is it an I stem or is it not? It is not because it ends in one consonant. Do you see? Do you see? Okay. So that's the way number two. Number one is, are the nominative and genitive practically the same number of syllables, nawis, nawis, or does the stem end in two consonants? Okay. Then there are some crazy neuter ones, and frankly, there are not very many, and the only one in your list is mare. Mare is a neuter third declension I stem, and so it's insane. It does the neuter. Everybody follow me. It does the neuter, but it also does the I stem, and then it does some more weird stuff. Here is my advice. Just memorize how to decline mare, and then you know how to do all neuter I stems in the future. Just memorize mare. Mare, Maris, Mari, and then because it's neuter, the nominative and accusative are the same. And it's, doesn't it have an I? Yes, Marie. So that's weird. Maria, Mariam, Maribus, Maria, Maribus. It makes more sense than it looks like. We have this weird and this weird because it has an I, and this is the I stem thing. And then it has an I for no good reason there. So memorize Mare. It's in your book. Memorize Mare. Just write it out over and over again. Remember, Mare is only weird like that because it's a neuter I stem. Herbs and pars, partus, they're not like that. You have all of these declined in your book for you, right? So you won't have trouble with it.
Isn't the first one on the list also one like?
Yes, it is animal, animalis. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't notice that they gave that to you. It is neuter, and it follows, look at pattern 3. Neuter nouns that end in al, r, or e. Animal and mare do the same thing, but mare is shorter. So just memorize mare. Just write, just know where it's different. And then animal is just like it. And so are all other of these that you learn in the future. Okay. That's actually the only new thing. That's it. I mean, and vocabulary. And most of these endings are the same as the endings that from third declension. So it's not so bad. Let's go over that entire vocabulary list. Okay. Animal, animalis, we already noted, that's like mare. It's third declension, neuter, I stem, and it means animal. Animal means animal. Don't say I never gave you something for free. Toga means toga, forum means forum, and animal means animal. Aurum. Aurum means gold. Aurum, ari, so it's second declension neuter. Does anybody know what the chemical symbol for gold is on the periodic table? AU.
What?
AU. Aurum. I know. Many of the, whenever you look at a chemistry periodic table, you think, where did they get those letters from? Why would they put that? It's probably Latin. AU. I'm 99.76% sure this is true. It's been a while since I did any chemistry, but Chylum. Chylum means sky, celestial. I know the A is missing there, but celestial comes from chylum. It can mean the sky. It can also mean heaven or the heavens.
We haven't had a word like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere.
Have we learned another heaven
It was
word?
earlier in
Sky?
this heaven.
This in this year or last year?
Maybe about a flashback from this series.
I don't know. I'm not going to go through all. I've written down all your words that you've learned so far, but I don't know. You must be having flashbacks, which is fine. It's also second declension neuter, so that's fine. Column. Column, collie means neck. What do we call this part of our clothing? The collar, because it goes around your neck, goes around your column. I always remember this because it's not spelled the same, but your neck is like a column that your head sits on, like it's a supporting column. If that helps you, use it. If not, don't. Collar, however, may help you. It's another of our second declension neuters. Finis, finis. We already noticed that it must be an I stem because it's the same thing twice. And finish, finite, something that has an end. So it means end. And the reason it means boundary, it means like the end of your yard, the end of your field, the boundary. So when you come to the boundary, you've come to the end. Homo hominis, human being. This is why the scientific name for man is Homo sapiens, wise man. Sapiens means wise. You are not helping our Latin class at all. Why in the world would you do that?
Well, you see, most guests will come up to the door and will just sit in the out. This one also come up and knock on the door. So
That's very convenient for the inhabitants, but she or he just wants to learn Latin, obviously. Okay. Infans infantis. Guess what an infans infantis is? An infant, a baby. Infans infantis. I stem or no I stem? You tell me.
it is.
It is because if you look at the stem, it ends in NT, 2 consonants, right? Mare, maris means sea. All those words, marine. See, I thought I had a bunch of them, but mariner is someone who travels on the sea. Submarine literally means under the sea. Actually just means under the sea, submarine. And it's the crazy one. Like animal, third declension, neuter, I stem. It is the one I said, just learn that one. Nawis, ship, naval, the navy, navigate comes from now we go, but you can see how nawis and now we go are related. It's I stem because it's nawis. It's the same thing twice. Nomen, nominus. And I think nomen looks like the word name. Kind of, it reminds me. Their word they chose is nomination. If you nominate someone to an office, you're naming them, right? I nominate so-and-so. In other words, I'm putting their name up. Vote for them. Nominate. Nox, noctus. Is it an I stem?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because it has a two consonant.
Has 2 consonants. CT. Night or darkness. Nocturnal. An animal that is only out at night is nocturnal. An animal that is out in the day is diurnal. Comes from DS, day. Do you know? I have no reason. If you know the answer to this question, I know a book you've read. Do you know what they call an animal that comes out in the morning and at dusk? Do you know, like rabbits and deer, that you see them more in the morning at dusk? And if you know, then I know a book you've read, but maybe you haven't read it if you don't know. It's a funny word. It's crepuscular. They're crepuscular. Have you ever read The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White when you were little? Who wrote Charlotte's Web? You should so read The Trumpet of the Swan on break. You could probably read it in an afternoon because it's written for pretty young kids. Anyway, he's watching animals, and the little main character keeps a journal, and he learns that rabbits are crepuscular. Aren't you glad? You had no idea you were going to learn that in Latin class. I'm pretty sure it's probably a Latin root, but I don't know what it is. Okay. Parens parentis, parent. For crying out loud, it just gets easier. Animal, infant, parent. It's easy. Is it an I stem?
Yes.
It is. Parens parentis.
I'm just afraid of it. They put a little star by all.
Oh, yeah. You're brilliant, John. I'm not. I just was totally ignoring the little stars. But I'm glad we didn't notice till now, because then you would know the answer immediately when I said, is it an I stem? And that wouldn't be fair. Pars partus, well, it's got the little star. And we already said it was because it ends in RT. And pars partus means part. Oh my goodness. Part, parent, infant, animal. You already know 4 of them. And urbs, urbis, city. It's why we call cities urban as opposed to rural. Rura means in the country. Urbs means city. Okay, those are our nouns. Adjectives. Parvus. Parvus means little, small or little. And praecipius. Praecipius. Special or principal. Not the principal of a school. It means the most important. Like the principal reason to learn Latin is because it makes you a more intelligent human being. I fully believe that. Subsidiary reasons are because it helps your vocabulary and everything, but that's not the principal reason. That's the kind of principle they mean. Okay, verbs. Apello, apellari, apellavi, apellatum. Speak to, call, or name. Now, you already learned the word call, woco. Woco just means I'm generally calling. But when I'm calling you specifically, it's apello. Does that make sense? I'm naming you. I'm addressing you personally. I'm not just calling in general. It's first conjugation, and it's totally normal. Its principal parts are normal. Dedico, dedicari, dedicavi, dedicatum. It means dedicate, and it's totally normal in its principal parts. It just gets better and better. Ubio, ubere, usi, usum. Order or command. It is second, and it is not normal. I'm sorry that your luck just ran out. Ubio, ubere, usi, usum. Okay, this is my stupid way. Maybe my stupid things will help you. John's thinking they never have yet, but maybe this one. I'm pretty sure I used this one last year. If you conjugate UBO, UBO, you best, you bet. And I always think you bet you better do what I order you to do. This is a bit, I have to have my ways of remembering. You bet, you better do it because I ordered you to. Make up your own if mine don't work. It's fine. And C. C, if you are in Mexico, means yes. C, if you are an ancient Roman, means if. If you do some Spanish, do not confuse C in Spanish with C in Latin. How, since Spanish is Latin, I do not know. Actually, C comes from seek. I'm just a wealth of information you didn't want to know. Seek means so or thus, and it's sort of the way they said yes in Latin. Seek means so, thus. What you said, I agree with. And I think maybe it just turned into C in Spanish. Yes. I'm only 93.2% sure of that. Okay. That's it. You got to learn the new words. Learn how to recognize an I-stem. It's pretty easy. And how to decline an I-stem. Do the worksheet, okay? I did not give you any extra conjugation sheets, but you know what to do. Here's one for you, this one for Preston, and this will remind me that I need to email it to Caden. You guys know what to do. Do your noun endings over and over. Do your verb conjugations over and over, especially third conjugation, okay? And remember, they're all in your book. Just conjugate it and then open your book, open to the back where they're conjugated or open to the lesson where you learned it and just check yourself against theirs. And your goal on February 14th is to come in here and everything we've learned so far, you're good. I can write out all the endings. I can conjugate all my verbs. And I'm at least 75, 80% on my vocabulary, okay? Including those prepositions, all right? Those are probably the toughest ones because they don't have derivatives. They don't have like chylum celestial or parens parent. They don't have something to help you remember what they mean except for sub because of submarine, right? Or submerge. Okay, any questions? If you're working through your exercises, I will be later today, I'll send out the key. But if you missed something and you don't know why, and you don't want to wait 2 weeks to find out, just call me or email me, okay? All right, you can go. All right.